Good evening. Mike McGinnis here from Begley Carlin on behalf of PD Newtown LLC. As Driscoll stated, this is a conditional use application that we submitted in the Newtown Shopping Center. For anybody who's unfamiliar, this is for the vacant Bed Bath & Beyond property in the shopping center, which is adjacent to the Staples, which is currently still operational. The site in question, which we're looking to come into, is just over 30,000 square feet. There is no exterior site work which is proposed as part of the application. This is a C6 use, so again, it's governed under the JMZO as a conditional use. We think this is an exciting opportunity for the township. It is to open a pickleball facility entirely to the indoor property. We actually have materials, which maybe we can distribute at the beginning here, if you wouldn't mind. It's a dated floor plan as well. Sure.
I can't do it's still very size. Share, please. So it will look like.
So as this is being distributed, I wanted to state at the outset, we're cognizant for any application in any of the shopping centers in the township. The preeminent concern typically relates to traffic and parking. This is a bit, I would submit, a little bit unique. Again, it's a 30,000 square foot vacant retail space. And for anyone who's familiar with pickleball, if you have 11 courts, the maximum in terms of players that you're going to have property application and CKS's review letter, we're proposing an average of 2 employees per shift. The maximum number of employees on site would be 4. So even if you account for some spillover between matches, there's going to be a relatively limited number of people on site at any particular time for, again, a 30,000 square foot space. This portion of the shopping center in particular is the least traffic area. It's certainly the furthest away from Brixmore. When we did the analyses back about 4 years ago regarding traffic counts and parking counts in the shopping center, we had delineated this particular area as Lot 2 for internal discussions. I believe there are 264 spaces. And this was when the Bed Bath & Beyond was open and operational. This was the least parked of the 7 different portions of the center. So even during the peak hours, there was only ever up to 45% occupancy in terms of traffic down in that area of the shopping center. Additionally, in terms of this use, again, John Williams is with me on my left and Tom Banner on my right. We'll discuss this momentarily as well. There's a synergistic usage in terms of hours of operation. So for a pickleball court, an interior, at least pickleball court like the one that we're suggesting, the peak hours tend to be between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. So in comparison to similar uses, other uses in the shopping center, in particular the Staples in the shopping center, the peak hours go together quite nicely. My client has experience operating large fitness properties within shopping centers. They know how to navigate similar spaces to this. There was a question in the CKS letter, which we can get into momentarily, which is why we provided additional information with respect to the floor plan that deals with the second floor of the operation. That is going to be certainly, obviously, associated with the pickleball, but that is a mezzanine that we're looking at as sort of a post-match sort of rest, refresher, hang out for a bit that would overlook the courts. But it's not a separate use or anything like that. It's an amenity that we would be offering to the players who just concluded their matches. Otherwise, again, we think this is a good use. It's a use that is not one that's in existence in the shopping center or the nearby shopping centers. It fits in quite nicely. It's a limited use from a parking standpoint, a traffic standpoint. We think would be an attractive option, both for the residents in Newtown Township and any customers who would otherwise be visiting the shopping center. So what I would like to do would be to have my clients address the Planning Commission, provide a bit more background about who they are, what attracted them to this site, and then go through the CCAS letter and answer any questions the Commission may have this evening. So thank you.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Yeah, so as Mike said, I'll kind of go into our why and go from there. I think as everyone knows,
Please don't know your name and everything.
Oh, Tom Bennett.
That's where we should start.
Okay, gotcha. Tom Bennett. That's me.
And what's your position with the company?
Partner.
Okay, good.
So I think everyone's aware of the demand for pickleball throughout the country, kind of ignored phenom in terms of sports. But here in Bucks County, it's just as prevalent. A lot of the local gyms have done a good job at meeting that demand. Like your Nats, for example, their Lifetime Fitnesses or their local rec parks that have thrown in maybe 2, 3, or 4 courts. But as that demand has elevated throughout the last couple of years, especially, we found that there's a need for a gym just pickleball centric. People can go to focus just on pickleball. They want to do their leagues. They want to do their pro trainings. They want tournaments, academies. They want to watch other tournaments. So we found that there's various concepts throughout the country that have come into existence besides ours, which is called Pickler, as you can all see. There's a few other ones, a couple in Phoenix, there's one in Atlanta, there's one in Utah, which is where ours is based. And we flew around the country and we vetted these concepts, and we felt that the Pickler kind of fit the need of most of what we were looking for. Their visions, we believe, the best. They have the financial backing. They're organized. So again, that's kind of why we picked this concept and the Pickler. And then as this process kind of moved along, we found that your big box retail, such as Newell, Beckett, and beyond, those floor plans really correlated with what this use is meant for. So anywhere from 7 to 17 courts, these concepts develop. I would say on average probably 10 to 11 courts. This one will be 11 courts, and again, they provide the members with a monthly membership fee. You can book courts in advance, anywhere from 7 to 14 days. You can book lessons with a pro, like I mentioned prior. So that was kind of our vision for this, and that's kind of why we wanted to do it. So I don't know if you want to add anything to this.
Sure, yeah, and the piggyback, sorry, John Williams. I'm one of the partners. I'll be on the operations side of the business. I'd like to think I have quite a bit of experience, especially in the franchise world, formerly in restaurants and bars. The last 15 years I spent in the Planet Fitness space, which again, to Mike's point, big box operator. I'm familiar with it. I'm familiar with scale. When we build these things out, we've had stores in, of all places, Mexico, Monterrey, Mexico, Phoenix, Seattle, Washington, and now we're part of a bigger group that has over 100 stores nationwide. So I do understand multi-unit operations pretty well. And how we got to this point is, again, to Tom's point, it's the fastest growing sport really in the world, but specifically to the United States. There were, to give you an example, there were 5 million pickleball players 2 years ago. There's 30 million now. They think that'll be 100 million in the next 5 years, and quite frankly, probably everyone in this room has picked up a racket at one point or another, I imagine. At least that's the impression I get from most of my friends and family. So we're thinking, how do we monetize this new sport and this emerging sport? At the end of our actual plan, we sold 80% of our companies. So now we're like, what's the next thing? We still have an amazing team together, so we're looking to grow into the next health and wellness has always been our thing, and fitness. So we're going to move into the space, the pickleball space. We think we thought Newtown was the perfect place to do it.
And the only other thing that I would add before we can address comments or go through the letter that is not directly related to this application, but maybe pertinent for conversation, is planning commission may not be aware of this, there is an application, an urban disturbance application that's been submitted that is going to occur, and construction is going to commence shortly, to create a bypass lane for the Chick-fil-A inside the shopping center. So when you make the right, that's always been a concern, is okay, the portion of the shopping center to the right is not as heavily trafficked, the Chick-fil-A is over there, people have one lane. Plans were submitted, I think, about a month ago to just carve out a bypass lane, which certainly, I think, will be a useful addition generally to the shopping center, but to this use specifically. So
Are you talking about the additional lane
No,
that Chick-fil-A has?
it's not, there is no physical structural addition. It is simply a carve into one of the islands for there to be a right turn, dedicated right turn lane for the Chick-fil-A. So any customer who's looking to get to, hopefully, the soon to be opening pickleball courts can drive right past as cars are queuing on the right to the Chick-fil-A. That's all. It has nothing to do with any expansion of Chick-fil-A's operations. It is not a Chick-fil-A application. It is an Adam Lowe earth disturbance application for the welfare of the shopping center, completely independent of Chick-fil-A.
Is this a franchise?
It is.
It is?
Yes.
Okay. And is it strictly membership? It's not open to the public? You
Well-
have to be a member?
So it is membership based, however, we will do corporate events there as well for non-members. That are off hours.
If you just want to play once or twice, you can't do it unless you're a member.
Well, typically, yes, we have day passes, all kinds of offers, obviously trying to attract new customers, so we'll do offerings constantly. But typically speaking, it is a membership-based platform.
What is a membership typically?
Depending on the economics of whatever deal we might structure with the particular landlord, it can be anywhere from $109 a month to $139, $139 a month.
Per person or for a family?
That's per person. For a family rate, we wouldn't quite double that, but close to that for a family rate. And we've kind of disturbing the marketplace in the sense that if you're a member of a racket club now, you generally pay $400 a year, and all you do is pay for your court time when you attend. This is going to be all-inclusive, membership-based, all-inclusive. You just got to go on your app, make a reservation, and show up, and you'll have court time.
And your hours of operation are 6 in the morning until midnight?
Until midnight, 7 days.
Do you have people play at 10, 11 o'clock at night?
Well, though, not to constantly prefer to Planet Fitness, but it's the old thing with Planet Fitness. We saw a lot of memberships, people think they're going to use the gym 24 hours a day. Quite frankly, no one uses the gym 24 hours a day. So, but yes, people will attend from 6 a.m., like basically before work and after work. And no, I don't expect a lot of people to be there after 10 o'clock at night.
Is midnight key to your success? Because I had a concern about that. Your own introduction said your key use kind of petered out after 10.
6 to 10 and 6 to 10 morning and evening.
So, I mean, being open that late to me maybe put the burden on security and people in the shopping center that normally wouldn't be. Just an observation.
No, it's an excellent observation, and we are actually beholden to the franchise board as franchisees. So we have to play by the rules to some extent, but in certain circumstances, I'm sure that we would be able to bend the rules should we need to. But I do understand and appreciate your concern.
I have another question, if I might. You talked about tournament. What excess traffic, parking capacity inside the building would that cause?
Well, that would be on a really extremely rare occasion, maybe on a quarterly basis. And that is as we grow the company. We only have a few units now, but as we grow, we'll do inter-company tournaments. So the additional burden, you might have 2 or 3 times the amount of people you typically would in the gym on a given, most likely a Saturday or a Sunday.
But would it be players only or audience also?
It would be an audience as well. It would most likely be players who are taking part in the tournament would attend to see, their opponents, what they're doing, how they fare, generally speaking.
There's some degree of a natural cap there. With 11 courts, you can only have so many. Would suggest, I would think anyway, you can correct me if I'm wrong with that, but if there's 11 courts, there's only so many additional players who would likely be able to be on site anyway, logistically.
Right.
So is it like 4 players to a court?
4 players next to a court, yes. If you're playing, if everyone's playing doubles, 11 courts times 4, we have 44 people in the
How long is the game or something? I know sport really very familiar.
Reservation is by the hour, so
So about an hour.
About an hour.
People there for an
Yes.
hour before play a bit.
generally speaking, and we've done these studies, you're in the building for about 75 minutes as a player. Come in about 15 minutes before, get warm, you're on the court for an hour, and generally speaking, you're out the door.
Is it a locker room where people can shower or get dressed? Or
Yes, there's a small locker room.
Madam Chair, if I may, so you talked about the mezzanine where people could relax after the game or maybe before a game. You're going to offer water, Gatorade, some refreshments, or?
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Yes, at the front desk, we walk in and check in, like, there's always, in these concepts, there's just a fridge with Gatorade, energy drinks, water, like you mentioned.
That you're selling to them?
Yes, correct. Some snacks, like protein bars, things of that aspect. but
Does
that's the extent.
that change the way we look at this if they're serving food?
Well, I don't think they're not preparing food.
Okay.
It's prepackaged.
Yep,
Everything's prepackaged.
it's all grab and go.
Is there a pro shop?
There will be a pro shop. Which is mostly oriented towards the sale of paddles. The pro shop will also include paddles that people can rent as well, if they would like to. So, but that's, and some limited apparel, but it's mostly towards the paddles.
May I ask on your plan, where is that pro shop shown? Check-in desk pro shop?
Yes.
Right inside the desk, the old Susan friend. With the idea that the gentleman or gentlewoman who's working the front desk can also sell apparel when needed.
will you offer lessons?
We will, so there will be a pro at the club, sometimes two. You can book the lessons through the app that you would have as a member. So yes, there will be lessons.
I think it's a great use for the building, even though it's not permitted there, it's not a restaurant. And it's very popular, it's a very popular sport, and I think the impact is going to be minimal over on the shops that are there.
It's permitted by conditional use. How long is your lease time?
I'm sorry, sir. Our initial term is 10 years.
10 years?
Yes.
With the renewal, I imagine? or-
With 3 5-year renewals in this particular lease.
Any questions from any members?
Pretty straightforward, I get you. Yeah.
Who's the franchisor?
It's called the Pickler.
Pickler.
The Pickle. They're based out of Salt Lake City, Utah.
How long have you been doing this? You might have mentioned that.
When did they, you go first call movie?
They started 10 years ago. And they're just standing up the brand now. They did a big capital raise about a year and a half ago and come up with the recurring income model, which is, again, similar to the Planet Fitness model, where it's just, you just pay one fee and you're a member. And now they have 11 stores currently open. They have 100 will be open before the end of the year and about 300 in the pipeline as we speak. They're really well funded. It was part of the reason when we vetted the 3 different groups. Again, one was in Atlanta, one was in Chandler, Arizona, and then Salt Lake City, Utah. These guys were the most squared away. And I'd like to think that I know that just from my experiences in Crumble Cookie World, our other partners, Pizzeria Uno's, et cetera. So we know what a well-run company looks like, and these guys are very, very squared away. Their team is excellent, so it was their best chance for success, and that's why we have the Pickler.
Any other questions from any members?
When you do the tournaments, do you anticipate that there be monetary rewards or prizes for winners or of the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, that'll, I mean, typically, yes, but that'll be at the discretion of corporate. A lot of these tournaments are intercompany tournaments, so they have to be pros that are sponsored by the Pickler. And if they're not pros, they have to be members, so it's not like, you can't just have outsiders come in and sign up for these tournaments. So there will be some sort of prize, but again, that'll be at the discretion of corporate.
Do you envision that during the tournaments having food trucks or anything like that to keep people on site, keep them fed?
They have done that. That'll be a discussion with us and them. Usually, like, they just opened their one in Fort Worth, Texas, I'll give you an example, they did a food truck and, outside. It was, again, same size center, big parking deal, things like that, so there's a problem. But that would be up to us, and that's,
One of the reasons I'm asking is I have a bit of concern about how many people will be showing up for the tournaments and whether it's 4 times a year, whether some kind of special permitting is going to be required in the township. I'm not sure. I'm just wondering, because I have a concern about going from 44 people to 444 people. If it's exciting, people's popular, people want to see it, but on a Saturday when the parking is the worst, I'm just have some concerns about that. So we may want to keep some controls on it by permitting things like that, giving us plenty of notice. These are going to have to be involved to make sure we can manage traffic situations. So that's something they want to provide us more information about.
And that's something that we can, I think it's a good idea, Mr. Schenker, we can talk with Mr. Sander subsequent just to see for any of those perhaps quarterly events, if there's any special event permitting to be agreed upon for the township to have some oversight work. That'd be great.
Continuing on that, would the audience be limited to the mezzanine area, and if so, what's the capacity there?
Well, I can tell you the next room, the exact capacity based on the square footage up there, that's probably something that perhaps our architect, if you were here, could answer. But the square footage on that second level is going to be just under 3,000 square feet, so, and viewership will be limited up to there. I'm sure there'll be fire codes limiting people and egress coming and going in the aisles between the courts. So it certainly would be limited, yes. And the viewership, you want to be elevated to see the various courts regardless. Can't see much if you're standing on ground level.
And no bleachers and no extra seating and that.
We do have plans for a championship court, if you look at the plans. That could potentially have bleachers if it were allowed. And that would be for when the tournament culminates at the very end and everyone would be sitting there in bleachers. But not, when I say bleachers, just 3 tiers. Something that we could literally roll away and store in a closet.
Another reason for having to take a look at that.
Agreed.
How long do you need for your fit out?
We anticipate 12 weeks. It's really simple. We're not moving any bathrooms. Everything, we're going to renovate the bathrooms, but they're going to remain existing. The sewer and the water will all remain there. We have plenty of power. So there's not a lot of mechanical, electrical plumbing that will be going on. We're simply going to be bringing in and laying the courts down, smoothing out the floor, laying the courts down. But we think 12 weeks, we should absolutely get it open by or permanent.
Is the elevator exist now?
It does not. We thought it would be a nice feature for our guests.
You're going to need accessibility. You're going to need to provide accessibility to the second floor level.
Well, right.
So you're going to need vertical accessibility to the elevator.
So there was ADA consideration there, and there was just considering our guests, though, we just had this experience.
I have a couple of things I just want to ask. Could you say again what your total membership is for the conditional use decision?
On average, it'll be about 1,500 people.
On average, could you say what it's going to be for this?
We hope to sign up
1,500?
1,500, yes.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
And could you state, if you want to, whether or not there's going to be any other fitness equipment at any time in this facility, or is it just for pickleball?
It is 100% pickleball. However, there may be a stretching area, which is simple stretching or postal balls that you could get loose on.
No weight training?
No
or
weight
anything like
training,
that?
no.
Okay. And the community room, could you, just to make it clear, you will not rent out that space at all? It is only for the people, the members for this facility?
We do intend to do corporate events there, as I mentioned.
Right.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
but it won't be, that room won't be rented out by itself?
Correct.
Okay. And you talked about viewership is only on the second floor, but some of your materials show that you have nice little couches on the side of the courts. Is that what you're planning to do with this facility also?
Well, I guess we were showing those renderings, and that's just a, I forget what version that is of the renderings. The kind of club or the kind of culture that we want to create at our club.
Sure.
We want it to be an inexpensive racket club. So people could, before the game rounds around, or after the game, take their sneakers off or do whatever, you know.
So you're planning on doing that in this facility?
Something like that, yes.
Okay, so there will be more than just the viewership on the second floor?
Potentially.
Okay, just so that's clear in the decision.
Any other questions, comments?